Tennessee getting it done over Texas A&M. Final score was 20-13. Checkered Neyland. It was a physical kind of game from Tennessee. Some guy, I don't know who it was, but apparently some guy picked Tennessee to lose this football game. Can you imagine the audacity of some people to do that? Regardless, we've talked a lot about Tennessee and the new version they are in this season, and kind of the Tennessee 2.0 or the new Vols, whatever kind of label you want to put to it. Last year's visions of Hendon Hooker throwing missiles to Jalen Hyatt and the vertical passing attack and all that, like, that's a fond memory. And I think that is still a potential for this offense. But the way that they played yesterday, it was gritty. It was trench warfare. And it was exactly what the doctor ordered against a really good A&M front seven. We'll talk about it here in just a second. Make sure to subscribe to the On Three YouTube channel. Had a lot of y'all from Vol Nation join the show recently and be a part of the program by subscribing if you have not already. Would love to have you at the party. Best way to do that is to subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell, just to stay up with everything that we got going on right here. We appreciate y'all in advance for doing both of those. Yesterday for Tennessee, to me, legitimized a lot of what they're about, because we had seen Tennessee play physical up front, and we had seen them run the ball well against South Carolina, and we had seen versions of that. But to do it against Texas A&M, the storyline going into this game was, hey, Texas A&M now, it's a real front seven. Hey, they're giving up like less than 3 yards a carry. They're top 5 in the country in terms of rush yards per game. Like they're gonna stifle that Tennessee running attack. We'll really see what Joe Milton has under the hood. And all Tennessee did was run for over 200 yards and just pretty much have their way up front with that A&M front seven. And I just want to make sure we say this. There's nothing fraudulent about Texas A&M on that defensive line. That was just a masterclass from Tennessee on the offensive line. And also what we said going into the game, if Tennessee is going to win, it's going to take Josh Heupel getting into his bag, cooking up like Walter White, and making something happen schematically for Tennessee. And what I saw frequently from this Tennessee offense, the way they were able to run the football so effectively, outside of just being really physical in the trenches, they did a great job of commanding the overhang players, the outside linebackers for Texas A&M, to line up really wide and either commit to, hey, we're going to play the pass or we're going to play the run. And whenever they were in that in-between kind of no man's land, they did a great job just washing them upfield, getting the push they wanted up front in the interior. And then, Jalen Wright just hit the hole with authority. And that was exactly what you needed if you're Tennessee. And the way they ran the football was the story yesterday. Joe Milton didn't play perfectly. You're going to need more from him later, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later in this segment. But for Tennessee, to run the football in the fashion they did is a statement. And I want to say this too. You can't play that style of offense if your defense doesn't hold up their end of the bargain to be complimentary. And this Tennessee defense held A&M to 54 yards rushing. What does that mean? It means that A&M was off balance offensively. So Tennessee took away balance defensively, made plays on special teams as well, running back a punt. Like it was an overall team win and a gritty win from Tennessee in checkered Neyland against a good Texas A&M defense. And I think overall that Texas A&M football team is better than a lot of people want to give them credit for. So what does it mean going forward now? I think it's a confidence and identity builder for Tennessee. Will you need more from Joe Milton? Like we talked about just seconds ago, yes. To beat Georgia, to beat Bama, you probably need more in that vertical passing attack. I truly believe that. But to be able to have the complement and to have the running game on tape now for people to worry about, and when you watch Tennessee during the week to say, okay, guys, this is what they're going to do running the football. We got to make sure we get extra numbers in the run game down there. That's going to make his job way easier. It's going to make for way more open shots. It's going to make for way easier pictures to look at. Like overall, Joe Milton's job is easier tomorrow because of what Tennessee did running the football yesterday. I think as a whole, you still hold out some hope for Joe Milton to be able to get progressively more dialed in. But the reality is what you did yesterday was good enough to win the football game. Okay, so there's no apologizing for winning in the SEC. And I think when you look at what happened yesterday, one thing that is just interesting to me about this is Josh Heupel and the style that yesterday went in terms of that game only scored 20 points. And I don't think that was, Josh Heupel's plan was to go in there and make it a low-scoring affair. But to some degree, like, the ingredients make the recipe. You ask your football team to play to their strengths. You don't try and take the strengths of your football team and make them fit what you want to do offensively, and you don't try and command them to do things they don't do well and fit it into your offensive scheme. Like, Josh Heupel called the game that Tennessee was going to win yesterday. He called it to the advantage of the offensive line. He called it to the advantage of the run game, and like, that was how they won yesterday. It wasn't the style we saw last year where Hendon Hooker's throwing the ball around the yard and they're scoring 40 a game. Like, I think, one, the self-awareness of Josh Heupel to play to those strengths. Two, the humility and security it takes when you're an offensive mastermind and you're a former quarterback yourself. And I promise you, he probably wants to throw it all around the yard. He probably would love to see the aerial show from Joe Milton and this wide receiver group. But to know that that's what was going to win the football game yesterday and to play to that, I think you got to give a ton of credit to Josh Heupel just for, like I said, the security and the self-awareness, and to drop the game plan he did. When I look at Tennessee now, a lot of talk this year about, well, it's not last year's team. No, it's not last year's team. You're exactly right. But this year's team controls their destiny in the SEC East. And when you talk about being result-oriented, they've gotten results. And when it comes to playing Georgia and playing Bama, like, I think they're trending the right way. And my attitude from a Tennessee fan or from internal at Tennessee would be, don't let us in the building. Because when they're on, when they're running the football, when they're flying around defensively the way they're flying around, the way they played in the secondary yesterday, they're going to be able to match up with just about anybody if they have their day. Now, it's going to take execution. It's going to take the right personnel talent-wise to be up to par, obviously, and have the right matchups and things like that. So I'm not saying it's just roll the ball out there and play, but I am saying when Josh Heupel's drawing it up and the way this defense played yesterday against the weapons of Texas A&M, the way this front seven played against Texas A&M, the way they got after Max Johnson, you got to feel good about the way things are shaping up for you if you're a Tennessee fan on Sunday morning. So, Tennessee getting it done in checkered Neyland over A&M. I'm excited to watch them the rest of the way. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Judy Piquel. Hey, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.